Welcome to day 44 of the Savage Cash podcast. Here with me, Suppoman, the man that brings you daily cryptocurrency podcasts. Today, I have figured out that my gamble has paid off. I told you yesterday that I invested in Litecoin. Now, what I wanted to cover today is why. Why did I invest in Litecoin? I said yesterday that I wanted to take a bet on some of the more major coins. Litecoin is one of the more major coins in recent times. And really, I want to tell you why. Okay, so let's have a look. So, yesterday I could see that there was some upwards movement. Okay, so if we have a look at yesterday, look at this. You can see an upwards trajectory happening with Litecoin. Now, I want to use this kind of semicircle to demonstrate the potential trend line of Litecoin. Okay, so if I just get kind of a point here and then move this down so that I can hit the trend lines. Okay, so what you can see beginning to form is you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, kind of a few points of contact with this trend line. Okay, so you can see that the price of Litecoin was just going up and up and up. You could see the kind of trend points right here, which was, around about the time that I invested. And then, boom, look at it. It just soared. Okay, and I put a ton of money in this yesterday because I thought to myself, yes, this is a definite bull movement. Because there was a ton of buyer support. Look at all the green. And I knew it was going to blow up. Now, what I want to really highlight in this whole thing is that it's all fine and good me giving tips, okay? Because, with my cryptocurrency investment course, okay, what I'm going to be doing very shortly is I am going to be inviting people to join a group where I am going to let people know the trades I'm making in real time. What I was going to do was I was going to put the videos into this course, but I actually think that's just going to waste time. Because what happens is that you do the filming, you do the editing, you do the processing, you upload it to Udemy, and it could take about 3-4 hours. And by that time, a cryptocurrency could have blown right up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let people know in real time with a group, which I'm going to invite people to. But really what I want to let you know from this, because I'm not necessarily just trying to promote my course. What I'm trying to say, and the whole point, again, of these podcasts, which I'm glad you are listening to, the people who are listening, it says 78, but the average plays is about 161 plays per podcast. I'm glad everybody's joined who's listening to the podcast. But what I want to highlight is I don't want to catch you a fish. Okay, so when you get my tips, that's catching you a fish. That's basically, I don't know if you've heard the saying, but if you give a man a fish, you'll feed him for the day. If you give a man a fishing rod, you'll feed him for life because he can catch his own fish. So essentially, the whole point of bringing you a daily podcast and bringing you an investment course of this size, which is now nearly 5 hours long, the whole point of it is to give you that fishing rod. Okay, I want to teach you the methods that I am personally adopting in order to see when a coin is about to blow up. So if we have a look through my curriculum, for anybody getting started, this is absolutely essential. You get half an hour of me telling you what cryptocurrencies are and what they're about and all that. And I tell you about alternative coins. I tell you about how to make your investments, how to research, what my investment systems are. There are 4 criteria I apply to an investment before I make it. And then this, the technical analysis, which I find to be actually the most helpful and takes the cryptocurrency game to another level. So what I essentially want to do is teach you how to fish. Because, it's all fine and good me doing the analysis and letting you know what I'm going to invest in, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's definitely going to go up. It doesn't necessarily mean that the value of the coin is going to follow the trend line, because what happens is that you've got buyers and sellers in this whole scenario. Okay, you've got buyers and sellers, which essentially determine what can happen, the volatility, I suppose, with a coin's value. Okay, all of a sudden we could get an engulfing selling candle and it could just bring the coin right down. But going on trend, looking at the contact points, you can see that Litecoin is just getting bigger and bigger. Okay, so I want to essentially teach you how you can do the same. Okay, because by repeating all of the techniques that I show you in that course and in the podcast, you are able to get better over time. I don't necessarily expect you to, the first time you see technical analysis, to be able to just do technical analysis straight away and get it. Because what happens is that it takes a period of doing it over and over and over again until you become an expert at doing that particular task. So if it's technical analysis, you will get better over time. You will spot and see the logic behind what's happening with a coin value. You won't just see the numbers, you will see the logic. You will see the movement. So yesterday somebody said to me, in fact today somebody said to me, you know, Litecoin, can I still get in there? Yes, possibly. But as I've already gone through in previous podcasts and in my course, there is an optimal time to get into a coin. And I showed you this when I showed you the Fibonacci retracement. You go up there, and this is around about the 60% line. It was an absolute perfect position to make the most of this. Okay, so that's what I wanted to really essentially tell you in the opening part of this podcast. But you can see the state of play today. Okay, so yesterday we had a mostly green day, and then some of these cryptocurrencies have actually gone down. LBRY credits and Einsteinium were doing really well yesterday, but aren't necessarily doing well right now. Now, Litecoin and Ethereum Classic, which are two of the more major coins, okay, if we just go to CoinMarketCap, you will see that Ethereum Classic and Litecoin are amongst the top cryptocurrencies. That you can see here, they're number 4 and 5 underneath Ripple. Okay, now this is based on the market cap, which is essentially price times circulating supply. But what I have found is actually, you know, hedging your bets by investing in some of the smaller coins with very low value with some of the more major coins like Litecoin and Ethereum Classic is a good strategy because there is more stability in your portfolio. As you can see today, Litecoin and Ethereum Classic are keeping up the momentum of my portfolio. Bella is a cryptocurrency that I invested in literally 2 days ago when I saw it had dropped during the crash. It dropped in value and I saw it at the perfect time, and look at that rise. SEA coin, look at how SEA coin is doing. Look at that. Okay, so let's just bring up SEA coin on Coinergy. So what you've got here with SEA coin, let's just get a trend line going. Okay, so if we start it from about here, look at where SEA coin appears to be going. Okay, so it's got quite a nice projection right here. Quite a nice projection. And this is what I saw happening with SEA coin. I thought that eventually it's going to move into a different league. It was way down here, went right up, went down a bit, up a bit, down a bit, but it seems to be now staying above this line here. Okay, so we are seeing that the coin is relatively consistent in terms of what its bottom point is. This is the point where buyer support comes in, okay? This is the support line. So it hasn't gone below this point. Now, if we put in another trend line, we can see potentially another buyer support trend happening, okay? So we've got a line right here that's going to stop the price potentially from plummeting below this trend line. Okay, we just need a few more data points to prove this, but look at the potential scope of the coin. I see this going further and further up. I see this going further and further up. This is a good coin. I think SEA coin is a good coin, and as you can see right now, it's on the up. It's got a lot of buyer support at the moment, really pulling up the value and taking it to a different league. And I personally think that in a month's time, this is going to be in a different league. I think we're going to be seeing 900, potentially over 1,000. Okay, that is what I see happening for SEA coin. So that is definitely one to watch for. Dogecoin appears to be doing quite well also. Okay, so it kind of seems to fluctuate. Let me just show you. Doge, because Doge, ever since the price crash about 3 weeks ago, Doge hasn't necessarily moved into the league it was at one point, okay? It hasn't got up to this point yet, okay? But let's just have a look. Look at the buyer support. It tends to be keeping it above this line and has been for the last 3 weeks, okay? It's not going really below this line, okay, which is about 115. Now, I bought Dogecoin when it went down to under 100, okay? I bought it at 98. I put a buy order in the night of the crash and activated it. In fact, to be honest, I could have got it at 86, and I wish that I had, but I didn't think it would go down that much, and I didn't want to miss out on the opportunity of getting some Dogecoin below 100, so I set it at 98. But this is the support line. This is where it doesn't seem that the price is going below. So what that means is the potential for it to dramatically rise. So I think this is a good time to get into Dogecoin. Let's have a look. Now, Dogecoin, you know, it basically is being used as a payment method. It's not a joke. A lot of people think, well, Dogecoin is based on the Doge dog. It's a joke coin. It's actually got no actual unique value. Dogecoin isn't a crap coin. It's a good coin. Okay, so look, it's just risen above the 50% of its latest kind of big spike in value. All right, so, you know, it's not necessarily the best time to get into Doge. However, if it doesn't go below this line, then we're looking at anything under 115 would be a great price to get Doge at, because I see this only really going up from the point of under 120. So Dogecoin seems to have reached a level where it's doing relatively well and is likely to just continue to grow. I personally am really excited. Like, I bring this podcast to you on a daily basis, okay? So you don't see rapid movement. You don't necessarily see the fluctuation of coin value between 1 month to the next, because we're basically doing this on a daily basis. If I stopped doing this podcast on a daily basis and instead did one on a weekly basis, one on a monthly basis, you would see massive changes in the coin value. Okay, but at the moment, you can't necessarily see that. What do I think is a good coin today? Well, let's have a look at Ripple. Ripple it's one of those coins you're either on the side of or not on the side of, okay? You either like it or you don't like it. The value doesn't necessarily dictate people's attitudes to Ripple, because people don't like Ripple because they say it's for banks, it's not for cryptocurrency traders, it's not one where we can make, you know, massive gains, it's not one that's likely to be volatile moving forward. And you can see it hasn't really been that volatile. You know, the last basic movement was at the beginning of this month, and since then it's just kind of fluctuated around this signal line. Now, let me just do a Fibonacci retracement, because we're looking at long-term value here. Okay, so at the moment, it is currently in a nice place to buy, okay, in terms of being able to make a return on investment, okay? So, here is the price range. Let us look at the long-term position. Go to its lowest point, go to its highest point. It's a 1.74 risk-reward ratio, nearly at 2. This is kind of the time to get involved with Ripple, if you're going to. And if we look at Litecoin, eventually what goes down comes up. Just like what goes up must come down, okay? So we tend to see buyer support coming in at about this point here, okay? So it tends to be rather protected. So that means that when it comes to a deep rise, you stand to make more than you lose. And Ripple was one of those coins that made people millionaires, okay? Let's look at another coin that made people millionaires. PIVX, okay? Now, PIVX was quite low the other day, around 27,618. And now it is at 64,100. So it's gone up a ton, okay? So this would have been a good buy at the time, okay? But let's just have a look at its price relative to the spike, the most recent kind of major spike. Not like a spike like that, but its most major spike. So look, it's well within the 61% line. So PIVX could be a good one in terms of making more money than you stand to lose. 1.88 risk reward ratio. So you stand to make $1.88 versus $1.12 risk. Okay, so $1.12 potential loss, $1.88 potential win. Okay, let's have a look at one more, which I have thought about getting. I don't have any waves. I missed the opportunity to get waves the other day. Okay, because waves went right a bit down. Okay, so let's have a look at waves. Waves seems to have quite a good buyer support trend line. Okay, seems to have quite a good buyer support trend line. So I see waves going up even more than where it is now. Waves is a potentially good one to invest in. Now, it's not necessarily good when you look at the entry point. Okay, so if we look at the optimal entry point, at the moment it's towards the top of the spike. However, so if we do a Fibonacci retracement, we do it from about this point to this point, we can see that we are roughly at about 25%. So the market has taken 25%. So waves could come right down. But it does have buyer support on its side. And so therefore it does make a strong case that the price isn't going to necessarily dip from this point. Okay, because it's got quite, if we just move this trend line a little bit more, it's got a few points of contact. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points of contact. So it appears to be going up and up and up. So we've had a look. We've had a look at PIVX. We've had a look at waves. We've had a look at Ripple. Okay, those are potentials for making a good long-term gain. Okay, but I would be really interested to see what would actually happen if I stopped doing this for a year and see what happened in a year's time and compared literally today's prices to prices in a year's time. Okay, in some cases, it might just be worth, if you don't want to be getting involved in this on a long-term basis, something might be worth doing is literally just investing in about 10 to 15 of these maximum. And not necessarily on just Poloniex. There's also Bittrex where there are more coins. So literally investing in 10 to 15 coins and then just leaving it for a year. So let's say you've got a spare $5,000, okay, that you want to put into a savings account. Forget the savings, put it into cryptocurrencies. Because in a year's time, I see the market cap of the entire market going up hugely. It's at $111 billion today, and it's only going to go up as more people enter the market, because this is one of the most exciting games to be in, and people are entering it every day by the thousands. All right, so the value of most of these are going to go right up. And once upon a time, you know, Bitcoin was the price of SOAR coin. Once upon a time, the price was right down there. Okay, and if you'd have bought 5,000 Bitcoins, you'd now have $10 million today. So, I hope that this has inspired you today, and I will see you in the next podcast.